Very good morning, dear students. How are you all? I hope all of you are fine and enjoying at your home. Stay home, stay safe. So, this is Vaibhav Shah and we are discussing subject economics. This will be our lecture number 5th of chapter number 3, that is demand, and here we are discussing the law of demand. In previous session, we discussed about the law of demand, in which first of all we discussed about the meaning of a demand. The principle explaining the relationship between price and demand for a good, keeping the effect of all other determinants are constant, is called the law of demand, which we discussed in previous session, that there will be always an inverse relationship between the price of a good and its demand. Basically, the price is an independent factor and demand is a dependent factor which is dependent on the price of the product. So here we are discussing the law of demand in a sense that it is a principle that explains the relationship between price and demand, keeping the effect of all other determinants, that is along with price, all the determinants that is given in the second category, that is other determinants or determinants other than price, will be kept as a constant, is called law of demand, and it is presented by Alfred Marshall and expresses the inverse relationship between price and demand. Along with that, in previous session we discussed about the assumptions of law of demand, in which we discussed that except price, all other determinants, that is other determinants, or we can say determinants other than price, will be held constant and unchanged. Now today we are going to discuss from point number 3.4.2, that is explanation of law of demand. We can explain law of demand with the help of the schedule, diagram and reasoning provided below. So any of the particular relationship in economics can be explained with the help of diagram, schedule and descriptive manner. Let us start with the demand schedule. Remember one point, that in one liner or in 2 mark it can be asked also that explain the demand schedule. So the schedule showing willingness of a consumer to buy different quantities of a good at various prices is called the demand schedule. Basically here it is given, it is okay, but the question comes to our mind that what is schedule. So the table which is given on the left hand side is called a demand schedule, and the diagram which is given on the right hand side of the screen is called the diagram. And in economics, any of the theories can be explained with the help of schedule and diagram. So it is, remember that if it is the law of demand or law of supply or any other law, then it can be explained with the help of schedule and diagram. So first of all, let us discuss what is demand schedule. The schedule showing willingness of a consumer to buy different quantities of a good at various prices is called the demand schedule. Remember the meaning that we discussed in the very first lecture of this particular chapter 3, that is, for any of the thing, when it becomes a demand, it requires basically 5 elements. First one is the desire to purchase, second one is ability or means to purchase, third one is willingness to purchase, fourth one at particular point of time, and fifth one at a particular price. So this schedule shows the willingness of a consumer, and we can assume that the desire and the ability is there. Different quantities of a good at various prices is called demand schedule. Now focus here. First column is about the price of the milk in rupees, while the second column is about the demand of milk in liters. First thing to remember here is that there is always inverse relationship between price of the product and demand. Here see that first column is about the price and second column is about the demand. The following schedule is an abstract, that is imaginary example of a demand schedule. If it is taken from some particular sources, then it will be mentioned, but it is the imaginary or abstract example, that's why it is given. So first of all, start from first row. When price of the milk is rupees 50, at that time demand for particular milk is 1 liter only. But when price reduces to rupees 40, demand increases. So the inverse relationship between demand and price, that is when price decreases, demand increases, will be given here. So when price of the milk is 40 rupees, demand increases to 2 liters. When price reduces again and becomes 30 rupees, then demand of milk is 3 liter. When price reduces to 20 rupees, then demand for milk is 4 liter, and when lastly price reduced to 10, then demand is 5. So here it is established that when price of the milk decreases, the demand for milk will increase. It can be viewed from the below also that when price of the milk increases, if we starts from below, that when the price is 10 rupees, at that time demand was 5 liters. When price increased to 20, then demand reduced to 4 liter. And price 30, then demand is 3 liter. Same way. So we can say that if price increases, demand decreases, and if price decreases, then demand will increase, and it shows the inverse relationship between these two. Now let us understand this particular schedule with the help of diagram. Remember, in any of the diagram, the horizontal axis is always x, while the vertical axis is always y. In x, basically we are showing the particular independent data, while in y-axis we are showing the dependent data. But only the law of demand is an exception to this particular relationship, and it can be shown that the prices, that is the independent data, is shown on y-axis, while the demand, which is dependent data, is shown on x-axis. So always the diagram starts from its origin, that is it starts from 0. So here it is 0 at this level, and on x-axis we are going in a ascending order. That here we are discussing about the demand. That's why we can say that the demand for milk is first liter, second liter, third, fourth, fifth and sixth. While on y-axis it is given the price that starts from 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Now if we start to draw the diagram, then at rupees 50, the price of the demand of milk is 1. So there will be a combination between these two, and that point is termed as A. If price reduces to 40 rupees, then the demand will be 2. So it can be shown by this way also. Again the price reduces to 30 rupees, then the demand is 3 liters. Again the price reduces to 20, then the demand is 4 liter. And lastly, when price reduces to 10 rupees, then the demand will be of 5 rupees. So here first of all we are deciding the points at which this two combination met with each other. After drawing a particular line at this particular point, that is A, B, C, D and E, if we draw a smooth curve that joins all these particular dots, or we can say this particular line, then this smooth curve is known as demand curve, which is denoted by DD here in this example. I hope you got all these points very clearly. So now you understand that how to draw a diagram. In x-axis, in the case of demand and supply, always the x-axis shows the demand or supply of that particular product, while y-axis shows the price of that particular product. It is always started with 0 because basically there are 4 quadrants in any of the diagram, but here we'll discuss about the 2 quadrant only, that is the positive quadrant x and y. And basically I show you that how to prepare all this particular diagram. First of all, you have to make this point as per like A, B, C, D and E, and after that you have to draw a smooth curve that combines all this particular curve is called a demand curve. I hope everything is clear. So now let us discuss the theory part which is given over here in this particular diagram or in this particular paragraph. The above diagram shows price of milk on y-axis and demand for milk on x-axis, which we have already discussed. By plotting the demand given in the schedule at various prices, that it is already given in a demand schedule that when the price of milk was rupees 50, at that time demand was only 1 liter, and when the price reduces to rupees 10, at that time the demand is highest, that is the 5 liter of milk. So by plotting the demand given in a schedule at various prices, that is from 50 rupees, 40 rupees, 30 rupees, 20 rupees and 10 rupees, we obtain the various points A, B, C, D, E, which shows the various price demand combination. As we already discussed in diagram that at point A, the price of the milk is rupees 50, while the demand for that particular milk is 1 liter. At point B, the price of milk is 40 rupees, while the demand is 2 liter. At point C, the price is 30 rupees and demand is 3 liter. As point D, the price is 20 rupees and demand is 4 liter. And at last, at point E, the demand is 5 liters while the price is 10 rupees. So we obtain the various points, that is A, B, C, D and E, which show the various price demand combinations. By joining these points, that is the point A, B, C, D and E, we get the demand curve DD, which slopes downward from left to right, indicating the inverse relationship between price and demand. Here remember two things, that whenever there is an inverse relationship between any of the combination, then the curve will be always downward sloping, and it can also be known as the negative sloping curve. So whenever the curve is downward sloping, it is also termed as negative slope, and whenever the curve is upward sloping, which we will going to discuss in chapter number 4, that is in supply, it is always upward and positive sloped. So here this particular demand curve shows the inverse relationship between price and demand. At point A, price of milk is rupees 50 and demand is 1 liter. Highlight point B, price is 40. So demand expands to 2 liters. So when price decreases, demand expands, and when price increases, demand contracts. And accordingly at point E, when price fall as low as rupees 10, then demand expands to as high as 5 liters. So here we explain the demand schedule and demand curve very properly, which was the explanation of the law. And now we will discuss the analysis part, that is the reason for inverse relationship between price and demand. See, basically your economics is a basic economics at standard 11. I taught almost all the levels of economics, that is in Gujarat board, CBSC, ICSC, and even in Cambridge also. Right now I am also teaching at chartered accountancy and company secretary level with the same subject, that is economics. One thing that I find from all these particular different economic level is that in economics the reason for each and every relationship is given very properly. So here nothing will be assumed as it is given. Everything is explained in a very detailed manner, that whether there is an inverse relationship between price and demand or positive relationship between price and supply, it is explained with very neat and clean manner. Here also the analysis is given, which is the reason for inverse relationship between price and demand. Basically in some of the sciences it is given that you have to study as it is given in your textbook or manual, but in economic or economic science we will be able to get each and every reason for every relationship between two variables. So the inverse relationship between price and demand occurs because of two main reasons which are explained below. And these two reasons are, first one is income effect and second one is substitution effect. Let us start with the first point, that is income effect. First of all, before going into theory, let us discuss why this income effect is given over here. Basically, we already discussed the income as a determinant of demand in determinants part. But here, this income effect is different from that income effect, because when we studied the income effect in determinants of demand, we only talk about the monetary income, that is increase in the wages, salaries, or profit or any other way income of the person. But here when we are going to discuss about the income effect, then the monetary income, that is the wages or profit, will be the same, but the purchasing power of person will be different. And when your income in the sense of monetary terms, that is by the way of wages, salaries or profit, increases, it is called monetary income. But when your income will be as it is, but your purchasing power increased due to decrease in the price of the factor. Say for example, let us take one example. The price of the coconut initially at rupees 15 and you are having 60 rupees. So it is obvious that you will purchase 4 units of coconut, because 15 into 4 is equal to rupees 60. Now your monetary income, that is 60 rupees, is as it is, but the price of coconut is increased to rupees 20. So with the same income, now you are able to purchase only 3 coconuts, that is 20 into 3. So your level of income was also 60 rupees when the price is 15, and now it is also 60 rupees when the price of the coconut is increased to rupees 20. Same way, if the price of the coconut decreased or fall to rupees 10 per unit, then now you will be able to purchase 6 coconut from that particular 60 rupees. So the level of income, which is monetary income, is same in all these three cases, that is 60 rupees only. But your real income in terms of purchasing power increased when the price of the coconut falls from rupees 15 to rupees 10. When it becomes 10 rupees from rupees 15, then now you will be able to purchase 3 more unit of coconut with the same level of income. So here in this point, whatever we are going to discuss is about the real income. I hope now you got everything very clearly, that what is monetary income and what is real income. When your income is same but your purchasing power increases, it is real income. But when your monetary income in terms of wages, salaries or profit will increase, then it is monetary income. Now let us start discussing this point. When the monetary income of the consumer remains constant but price of the good falls, then her or his real income rises. Real income, see here it is given in a bracket that real income is the purchasing power of money income. When real income rises, a consumer can buy more of a good and therefore its demand may rise. For example, if the amount of money at the disposal of the consumer is rupees 50 and the price of milk is rupees 50 per liter, then the consumer can buy or demand only 1 liter of milk. But if the price of milk falls to rupees 10, the consumer can now demand 5 liters of milk with same money income of rupees 50. Mostly normal goods have a positive income effect and inferior goods have a negative income effect. That is, when the price of inferior goods fall, the real income of the consumer increases, but the demand for these goods falls. For example, coarse food grains. See here, whatever we discussed before starting the point is given in a detailed manner in this particular topic. When the monetary income of the consumer remains constant, that is the salary or profit or fees remains the same, there is no change at all in the level of income. But price of the good fall. Now here the main important element which affect the demand is price of that particular product. But as the price changes, the real income will also change, and that's why price of good fall, then her or his real income rises. As we discussed, it is also given in a bracket that real income is the purchasing power of money income. So in the example of coconut, the money income will be constant as 60 rupees, while the demand increases from 3 unit to 6 unit because the price decreased from 15 rupees to 10 rupees and hence it becomes more cheaper, and that's why a person is able to buy 3 more units, and which is increase in his real income and not in monetary income. So you have to remember only one thing is that monetary income means always increase in income level, while real income means always increase in purchasing power of money. When real income rises, the consumer can buy more of a good and therefore its demand may rise. Here in example of coconut, because yet we haven't discussed the next example which is given in your textbook, but initially we have taken the example of coconut. So in coconut also, when the price of coconut falls from rupees 15 to 10, the person is able to more number of unit because his monetary income will be as constant but his real income rises. Now let us discuss one more example which is given in your textbook. For example, if the amount of money at the disposal of consumer is rupees 50, it means a person is having rupees 50 in his pocket, and that is maximum what he can consume or what he can spend for purchasing a particular good. So we can say that his monetary income is rupees 50 only, and at the same time the price of the milk is rupees 50 per liter. So now when the person is having rupees 50 and the the price of the milk is also rupees 50, then the consumer can buy or demand only 1 liter of milk, because now he is having only 50 rupees as a income. But if the price of milk falls to rupees 10, as we discussed in the demand schedule also, when we are discussing about the schedule and diagram of the law of demand, initially the price of the milk was rupees 50 and the person is having a 50 rupees as a disposable income, so he will be able to purchase only 1 liter of milk. But when the price of the milk falls to rupees 10, the consumer can now demand or can buy 5 liters of milk with the same money income, that is with the 50 rupees only. Now he is able to purchase 4 more liters, because the price decreases from 50 rupees to rupees 10 only. As we discussed at the time of income of the consumer in the determinant of demand, that mostly normal goods have a positive income effect. That is, whenever the income increases, demand also increases, and when the income decreases, demand also decreases. But inferior goods, which are the exception to the law of demand or exception to the income effect, have a negative income effect, which we have already discussed. Why it is happen that when the income of the consumer will increase, then this inferior goods demand will decrease, and which is contrary to the income effect. So the reason here given is that when the price of inferior goods fall, the real income of the consumer increases, but the demand for these goods falls. Say for example, let us take the example of bajra, that is millet, and the wheat. Now bajra is considered as an inferior good. So when the level of income of a person is normal, then he will purchase a bajri. At that time the price of the bajra is rupees 10 and the price of the wheat is rupees 20, and the person is having 60 rupees as his monetary income. So if he wants to purchase a wheat, then he will able to purchase only 3 kg. But if he purchases a bajra, then he will be able to purchase 6 kgs of bajra. Now anyhow the price of the millet, that is the bajra, will increase from rupees 10 to rupees 15. So now the difference is that if the person wants to purchase a wheat, then he will be able to purchase 3 kg, and if he wants to purchase a bajra, then he will be able to purchase 4 kg. So instead of purchasing a bajra, now he wished to purchase a wheat, and that's why the demand for that millet will decrease, and it is called as a inferior good. So whenever the income of a person will increase, he will prefer to purchase more superior goods than inferior goods, and that's why there is a negative relationship between the inferior goods in income and demand. So here it is given that when price of inferior goods fall, the real income of the consumer increases. We have taken the example when price of bajri will increase, but if the price of bajri will fall, then the real income, that is the purchasing power, will increase, but the demand for these goods fall, because now people will prefer to purchase more superior goods. And for example, coarse grain because this coarse food grain, that is the lower quality of wheat and maize, is termed as inferior goods. So here with this particular topic we are concluding today's session. Today we discussed the explanation of the law of demand with the help of diagram and schedule, and after that we discussed the first reason or analysis of inverse relationship between price and demand. In next lecture we'll start with the second reason or analysis of the substitution effect, followed by the exceptions to the law of demand. Till that, have a nice day and thank you very much, class.